One of the things that you and I were talking about earlier, and something that popped up in the Atlassian extranet, was a blog post you did, grew out of a comment and perhaps some conversations about pair programming. So, and I think it sparked a lot of people's interest. I think pair programming is one of those things that people go, "What, really? Is that how it works? Is it good? Like, is that how it should work? Is that going to be good for me? Am I going to like that? Or, you know, oh, that sounds terrible. That would be horrible. It would never work. It'll only slow me down," things like that. So tell me about it. What's pair programming? How do you see its advantages, and what is it good for?
Sure. So I really like pair programming, especially as a new person. I think it's a really good way to get introduced to the code base, and it helps me meet my teammates and know what questions I should go to them to answer. Right. So I think that's a really powerful part of pair programming. There's lots of different ways that you can pair. The sort of traditional ways that you have 2 monitors and 2 keyboards and 2 mice with 2 chairs, and you sit there next to each other and you work through it, but everything's obviously plugged into the same computer. Right. So that's sort of the goal, I guess, but that can sometimes be hard to do because I'm not going to lug around my monitor and keyboard and mouse. So my team actually recently set up a pairing station that has everything set up, so you just bring over your computer and get going, which I'm pretty excited to give it a run. But you can also just come with your chair and sit and learn from each other, talk through problems.
You've seen all those movies where there's two sets of hands on one keyboard, as if that would ever work.
Yeah.
Tell me how that works. One person is in more of a driver's role. Is that how you do it?
So the person who's at the keyboard is the driver, and they are the one who actually writes the code and sort of makes it syntactically correct and things, and then the other person's the navigator, and they're there to spot bugs, sort of think through problems that could come up, or like maybe you're missing an edge case, and they can think things through a bit more. A really important part of pairing is to switch those roles off so that you're not always the driver or always the navigator, because it's quite a different mindset for both of those roles.
Yeah. And you mentioned that it was something that was particularly good being new to the team. So I imagine there's specific advantages for pair programming for sharing knowledge. I mean, that seems obvious. So the benefits would be that knowledge would be shared from someone experienced. So does that mean that they would be the driver, or that they would be the navigator, or you mentioned they switch?
Yeah, so hopefully you can do a bit of both sides, just so you can better see how things fit together. I personally like being the navigator when the other person is more knowledgeable in a domain, because I think that they can sometimes get frustrated watching me sort of not know what to do. Depending on how patient they are, it can be more beneficial if I'm the driver and they can sort of walk me through how to get there, but it is pretty slow for them, so it's a bit of a decision which way you go.
Yeah, although I found that can be good to go through that, because then, I mean, there's nothing that more encouraging than feeling like I need to be able to do this. I need to know all of those keyboard shortcuts. That's actually something, when I started at Atlassian, and this is quite a while ago now, I was pairing on bug fixes on Jira, and we were using IntelliJ IDEA, and I had never used that. So I knew none of the keyboard shortcuts, and a guy I was pairing with, he was, Alt F9 that. I think you need to, and so I really learned them.
Yeah.
So much better.
I always bring a notepad with me, and they'll do a keyboard shortcut. Oh, so what was that? I couldn't quite see.
Yeah.
There's always something to learn.
Yeah. So we talked about knowledge sharing. Why else would people adopt this practice, do you think?
So obviously, knowledge transfer I think is sort of the biggest one. There's also focusing, that it's a lot less tempting to go to Reddit and check it out when there's the other person sitting there. And I think it's more engaging that you look at some code with somebody else and, oh, why did you do it like that? Let's have a little bit of a conversation and make sure that is the best way to do it.
Thanks for watching Atlassian Tech TV. Subscribe right now to catch our regular episodes, including the full interview from which this excerpt was taken. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, and check out our blog at developer.atlassian.com.